हरे यमुना तीरा वनचारी वनचारी जयो राधा। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिवराज का आचार्य स्तोत्र श्री श्रीमद अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन बीवीटी फाउंडर आचार्य श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिवराज का आचार्य स्तोत्र श्री श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद ठाकुर की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव भक्तवृंद की जय। नाम आचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। ब्रज भूमि वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जय। मथुरा धाम की जय। पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। यमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। तुलसी महारानी की जय। समवेत गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद ट्रांसेंडेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की जय। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 13, verse number 23, 24, 25. So, we will be reading, reciting the verse number 25th. And before that, I'll just recite verse number 23 and 24. So, you can repeat verse number 25. ततो नृपोन्मर्दनमच्चलेपनालङ्काररिक्षा तिलकाशनादिभिः समलालिता स्वचरितै प्रहर्षयन् सायं गतो यामयमेन माधवा. Translation. Thereafter, O Maharaj Parikshit, as required according to the scheduled round of his pastimes, Krishna returned in the evening, entered the house of each of the cowherd boys, and engaged exactly like the former boys, thus enlivening their mothers with transcendental pleasure. The mothers took care of the boys by massaging them with oil, bathing them, smearing their bodies with sandalwood pulp, decorating them with ornaments, chanting protective mantras, decorating their bodies with tilak, and giving them food. In this way, the mother served Krishna personally. गावस्ततो गोष्ठमुपेत्य सत्वरं हुंकार घोषय परिहूत संगतान् स्वकान् स्वकान् वत्सतरान् अपाययन् मुहुर्लिहन्त्यः श्रवत् औधशम्पयः. Thereafter all the cows entered their different sets and began mooing loudly, calling for their respective calves. When the calves arrived, the mothers began licking the calves' bodies again and again and profusely feeding them with the milk flowing from their milk bags. Purport. All the dealings between the calves and their respective mothers, taking care of them, were enacted by Krishna himself. Verse 25. Please repeat after me. Go gopinam matrata asmin. Go gopinam matrata asmin. आसित स्नेहार्थिकं विना आसीत् स्नेहार्दिकां विना पुरोवदास्वपि हरेस् पुरोवदास्वपि हरेस् तोक्ता मायया विना तोक्ता मायया विना गोपीनां मात्र तस्मिन् आसीत् स्नेहार्दिकां विना पुरोवदास्वपि हरेस् तोक्ता मायया विना गोपीनां मात्र तस्मिन् आसीत् स्नेहार्दिकां विना पुरोवदास्वपि हरेस् तोक्ता मायया विना गोपीनां मात्र तस्मिन् तोक्ता मायया विना गोपीनां मात्र तस्मिन् आसीत् स्नेहार्दिकां विना माताजी's गोपीनां मात्र तस्मिन् आसीत् स्नेहार्दिकां विना पुरोवदास्वपि हरेस् तोक्ता मायया विना. Word to word meaning. Gopinam, for both the cows and the gopis, the elderly cowherd woman, matrita, motherly affection, asmin, unto Krishna, asit, there ordinarily was, sneha, of affection, ridhikam, any increase, vina, without, purahavat, like before, asu, there was among the cows and gopis, api, although, hare, of Krishna, to kata, Krishna is my son, mayaya vina, without maya. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Previously, from the very beginning, the gopis had motherly affection for Krishna. Indeed, their affection for Krishna exceeded even their affection for their own sons. In displaying their affection, they had thus distinguished between Krishna and their sons. But now that distinction disappeared. Purport. The distinction between one's own son and another's son is not unnatural. Many elderly women have motherly affection for the sons of others. They observe distinctions, however, between those other sons and their own. But now the elderly gopis could not distinguish between their own sons and Krishna. For since their own sons had been taken by Brahma, Krishna had expanded as their sons. Therefore, their extra affection for their sons, who were now Krishna himself, was due to bewilderment resembling that of Brahma. Previously, the mothers of Sridama, Sudama, Subala, and Krishna's other friends did not have the same affection for one another's sons. But now the gopis treated all the boys as their own. Sukadeva Goswami therefore wanted to explain this increment of affection in terms of Krishna's bewilderment of Brahma, the gopis, the cows, and everyone else. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapad Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakhanvitamsha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratuse Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakhyam Namami Bhakta Saktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhesha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So I welcome everyone for today's discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam. So I humbly pray at the lotus feet of Shri Shri Radha Rasa Bihari Lalita Ji Visakha Ji, Shri Shri Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Ji, Gaur Nitai, Srila Prabhupada and all the assembled devotees to kindly bless me so that I may be able to speak something on glorification of Srila Prabhupada and their Lordship Shri Shri Radha Rasa Bihari. And you may become pleased and I may get purified. Hare Krishna. So this is the verse in which now Sukdev Goswami is going to describe how after when Krishna, he expanded into many millions of forms as cowherd boys, cows and calves, he went back to home and how he reciprocated with elderly gopis, mothers of cowherd boys, and how he reciprocated in the form of calves with cows. So in this particular verse, as Srila Sukdev Goswami is mentioning, that mothers, it is a natural tendency to have great affection and love for her own sons more than the sons of other. Although we find that mothers or women, they have affection for any children. And we have also experienced in our childhood that when we were small kids. So for us, sometimes it appeared there is no distinction between our mother and the mothers of our neighbors. So we used to go and play anywhere. And other elderly women, they also used to show affection for us. But when it comes for actually taking care of the child uh, during his health or for his growth, maintenance, and for his education, and for so many other things. When when a child is in need, great need, he is in difficulty, then we naturally experience that our own mother has more affection, and she tries her best to maintain us. So similarly, here also Sukdev Goswami is mentioning it's not unnatural. Mothers have more affection for their own children. But in case of Krishna, we are finding here that earlier also all other mothers, they have more affection for Krishna than their own children. But now after this pastime happened, so the affection between their own son and the sons of other gopis was equal. Why? Because now their own son was Krishna and other sons were also Krishna. Krishna expanded in many forms. So they could not distinguish this difference, and rather the affection which they had previously for their own sons, that increased unlimitedly. So why this increment happened, why this unnatural phenomena happened, is explained by Sukdev Goswami himself. In next chapter actually explains. Parikshit Maharaj, after this, Lord Brahma finishes the prayers, then Parikshit Maharaj inquires about this, the cause of this, and Srila Prabhupada, the similar verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, you can open, Prabhu. Madhya Leela, text number 160, chapter 20. Verse number 162. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning the reason, and he is explaining in detail why everyone's dearmost object of affection or love is Lord Sri Krishna. Can anybody read the purport?
Quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 10:14-55. Parikshit Maharaj asked Shukdev Goswami why Krishna was so beloved by the residents of Vrindavan, who loved him every more, even more than their own offspring or life itself. At that time, Shukdev Goswami replied that everyone's Atma or soul is very, very dear, especially to all living entities who have accepted material bodies. But that Atma, the spirit soul, is part and parcel of Krishna. For this reason, Krishna is very dear to every living entity. Everyone's body is very dear to oneself, and one wants to protect the body of all means because within the body the soul is living. Due to the intimate relationship between the soul and the body is important and dear to everyone. Similarly, the soul, being part and parcel of Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is very, very dear to all living entities. Unfortunately, the soul forgets his constitutional position and thinks he is only the body, Deha Atma Buddhi. Thus, the soul is subjected to the rules and regulation of material nature. When a living entity, by his intelligence, re-awakens his attraction for Krishna, he can understand that he is not the body, but part and parcel of Krishna. Thus, filled with knowledge, he no longer labors under attachment to the body and everyone related to the body. Janasya moho ayam aham mameti. Material existence wherein one thinks I am the body and this belongs to me is also illusory. One must redirect his attraction to Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.7 states, Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakta Yoga Prayojitah Janayasti Asuvairagyam Jnanam Chayad Ahetukam. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world.
So as Srila Prabhupada is very nicely explaining in the purport, how the Supreme Lord Krishna, who is the original soul of every living entity, that's why he is known as Super Soul. Lord Krishna is super soul of this manifested material creation. Just like we have this material body and the soul of this body is our own self. Without the soul, the body cannot move. Similarly, the entire creation, whether material creation or spiritual creation, the super soul or the soul itself is Supreme Lord Krishna. So because of his presence, when Lord Brahma, he created this material universe. Before creating, Lord Brahma was awarded intelligence and strength, knowledge, everything by Supreme Lord to create this variety of material planets. But after it got created, the Lord Brahma experienced that nothing is working, everything is just dead. He created all the planets were there, hills were there, sun, moon, everything was there, but no movement, nothing is working. Then the Supreme Lord, as Super Soul, he entered within the universe and then it started moving. Similarly, whatever activities a living entity perform and whatever, that's because of attachment or attraction. In the material world, we find everyone is attached to some kind of object or some kind of personality. So here comes the difference between the philosophy of monism or voidism. They try to negate, they think that this material attachment or attraction for material things is because of this body. And because of this material attachment and attraction, we are suffering in this material world. So if we just negate this, if we stop all our material activities, if we become completely detached from material things, material world, then automatically we will become free from miserable situation of material life. But they don't understand that this principle of attraction or principle of attachment to any object or any person, anything in this world, that is not incorrect. That is inseparable characteristics of the soul, of the self. The living entity, and that is what is known as dharma. Just like if you take material object, like sugar. Sugar, the dharma of sugar is to be sweet. If the sugar is not sweet, then it's not sugar. Similarly, the dharma of the water is liquidity. Similarly, the living entity, the soul, its constitutional position or characteristics or the inseparable quality is to remain attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because he is the dearmost object of the living entity. And because of forgetfulness, the living entity, because that quality cannot be changed, that principle cannot be destroyed, so the same principle of getting attracted, the same principle of attachment and love becomes manifested towards material object, material things. Just like suppose if you have a machine, any machine, so the machine is made with certain mechanism. So the machine will always follow that particular mechanism. If we properly operate, then it will give the proper output, proper result, and we can enjoy the result. But if we don't know the proper way of operating the machine, and if we misplace it, or if we, so then the machine will try to follow its mechanism. But because we are not following the proper procedure, we have forgotten, we don't know, so that will create disturbances. So the solution is not to throw out the machine. The solution is to know what's the proper way of operating it. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada gives the example of cataract. So if we, in our eyes, if we have cataract, so then Mayavadis or Buddhist philosopher, according to them, we should remove the eyes. Because of this eyes, we are getting problem, we are not able to see properly, and we are suffering because of this. It's better that we lose vision, but we don't want suffering. So this idea comes because of frustration or suffering of the material attachment, and that suffering is because of ignorance, because of not knowing the reality. Because of that, the frustration is coming, the suffering is coming, and because of the suffering, the person is thinking, let me negate, let me pull out my eyes. But Srila Prabhupada gives the solution that the solution is to remove the cataract. That means to remove the ignorance. If the ignorance is removed, then the living entity can function properly and experience the same bliss with attachment. So when this attachment or attraction or love, which are inseparable from the living entity, is directed back towards the Supreme Lord, then one actually becomes happy. So in the scriptures, we find in many places, like Srila Prabhupada said, and it is explained in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna Bhakti Shadya Kabunaya Sravanadi Suddha Chitte Karha Udaya. That means the love for Krishna is already there. That's why Srila Prabhupada used reawakening the love. We don't say developing love for Krishna or creating it, but actually it is reawakening the already love which is there. In one place, Prahlad Maharaj, he says, Nate vidu swartha gatim hi Vishnu. So in this verse, the word vidu is used. Vidu means they don't know. Nate vidu swartha gatim hi Vishnu. They don't know that the ultimate goal of life is Supreme Lord Vishnu. The object of affection, our object of attachment, our object of love is Supreme Lord Vishnu. That is a fact, means that is there, but people don't know. So in this way we find that this eternal relationship between living entity and the Supreme Lord is always there. But because of forgetfulness, we try, it is misdirected automatically. And it's not in our control. Nobody can try to negate this. So in this verse, as Srila Prabhupada is writing in the purport, that because every living entity considers the self, his own self, as dearmost, and because of not understanding the difference between ourself and the body, and thinking that the body belongs to me, not belongs to me, I am the body itself. So because of this Dehatma Buddhi, it is known as Dehatma Buddhi, because of this bodily identification, everyone tries to satisfy his own body and related objects of the body. But the principle is that because his own self is very much dear to him, that is why when one becomes little realized that he is not this body, he is spirit soul different from the body, then he starts becoming detached from bodily identification, and they aspire for higher knowledge. But ultimately, this is the next step. But ultimately, one has to understand, like in this purport, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning that why our own self is dear to us, because it's part and parcel of the Supreme Lord Krishna. So Krishna is original soul of all living entities. That is why, because we have love for Krishna, Krishna is dearmost object of every living entity. So that is why the self is dearmost. Just like, take for example, husband and wife. So wife has love for her husband. That is why whoever is related with the husband, mother, father, husband's friend, brother, anyone, they also become means dear to her, and she serves them exactly like her husband. But the main principle is, without husband there is no connection with anyone else. So similarly, because originally our relationship is there with Krishna, and Krishna is dearmost object of love for us, so that is why, being this, uh, our own self, spirit soul, becomes very affectionate, dear for us. And when this spirit soul occupies a body and lives in this world, and anything connected with this body in the world becomes object of affection or object of all love for us. So another point in this verse, as Sukadeva Goswami is explaining, that the affection which they have for Krishna increased unlimitedly. So why this happened? This is another reciprocation of the Supreme Lord Krishna. So these gopis, they are pure devotees of Krishna. So when Krishna was being maintained by Yashoda Mata in various ways, so they used to see and they developed a desire that if we also could have Krishna as our son, then we would also have maintained him and fed him, loved him like Yashoda Mata. So this desire within the heart of all the elderly gopis were known to Krishna, and because of this he reciprocated and performed this wonderful pastime by becoming the sons of all the elderly gopis in Vrindavan, Brajavasis. So similarly Krishna, he reciprocates with each and every devotees, especially pure devotees. In case of pure devotees, like Srila Prabhupada, from his childhood, he always developed a desire that I want to have darshan of Jagannath, Lord Jagannath. I want to visit Vrindavan. And he used to go to stations and he used to check the cost of train, the fare, cost of the ticket. And he used to meditate, कि if ever I get the opportunity, I will go to Jagannath Puri and Vrindavan. So this desire was very deep in Srila Prabhupada from the beginning of his childhood. And as soon as he got out of the college and he got married, and immediately after that he prepared himself that I want to go to Jagannath Puri. And the first time he went to Jagannath Puri, and he had a deep attachment and affection for Lord Jagannath. He had wonderful darshan. Although there he found some mismatch, means he found those who are living in Jagannath Puri, they were not following proper Vaishnava etiquettes, proper principles of Vaishnavism. So that hurt him, but still he was very inspired, and he became very ecstatic by having darshan of Lord Jagannath. So this was the desire of Srila Prabhupada. And later on he went to Vrindavan many times, as we know. He met his Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada in 1922. And after that, whenever Srila Prabhupada, at that time known as Abhay Charan Day, he used to go towards north, Allahabad or Jhansi, Banaras, wherever he used to go. So he used to find out some way, some means to visit Vrindavan. Once while traveling in train, he was supposed to go to Delhi, and the passenger was sitting in front of him. The passenger asked him, so where are you going? So they had talked. So Srila Prabhupada said, I am going for a business purpose to Delhi. And then they had discussion. Prabhupada was chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra in train, and then chai wala, he came, and that guest, that particular person, he offered tea to Prabhupada, but Srila Prabhupada said, no, I have certain principles, I don't drink tea. And then they continued. So before Delhi, this Mathura came. So immediately as soon as Mathura came, and Srila Prabhupada came to know that Mathura has come, so immediately he took his luggage and he started to go out. Then the person asked that you were planning to go to Delhi, but now you are getting down at Mathura. Why? So then Srila Prabhupada simply said, I just changed my mood. So he got down and went to Vrindavan. Then after a few days he again went to Delhi. So in this way, Srila Prabhupada had great desire to remain attached to Supreme Lord, Vrindavan Dham, Jagannath Puri Dham. So this desire and another deep, intense desire of Srila Prabhupada was to write about Krishna in English, because this was the instruction of his Guru Maharaj. So Srila Prabhupada was struggling a lot, especially in 1944 when he started Back to Godhead magazine. And so he wrote only a few Back to Godhead magazines, and after that, for next few years, it was stopped. Not because of lack of articles or enthusiasm. Srila Prabhupada had so much to write and so much enthusiasm, but it was stopped because of lack of papers. So just imagine, he could not print Back to Godhead magazines of few pages because of lack of papers, but he had great desire, and he even wrote many letters requesting government authorities to allow him to sanction papers so that he can print at least a few thousand copies, having even less number of pages. But still that was not allowed, and for few years it was stopped. So this was the second desire. And third, we find when Srila Prabhupada, he used to come to this Juhu area. From Andheri, he used to walk towards Sumati Murarji's home. So he used to go by this way, and he used to meditate. He developed the desire that if I get this land, I will build a beautiful temple for Lord Krishna. So this desire he developed. And then in next 10 years, we find how Lord Shri Krishna, he fulfilled, he reciprocated. Srila Prabhupada desired that I may get darshan of Lord Jagannath, I may visit Jagannath Puri. Lord Krishna arranged that he manifested Jagannath Puri globally. And wherever Srila Prabhupada was going, in any country of the world, he was having darshan of Lord Jagannath. So for him, Lord Jagannath created Jagannath Puri everywhere. Similarly, Vrindavan, these ISKCON temples are not different from Vrindavan. Once Srila Prabhupada, he was asked that would you like to go to India or remain in India for rest of the years? Srila Prabhupada said, no, I would better prefer to remain in America, because here I have disciples who are very eager to preach the Krishna consciousness message. And for me, there is no difference between ISKCON Los Angeles and ISKCON Vrindavan. So in this way, we find that how Srila Prabhupada took the Vrindavan also with him wherever he went. And then this third, before ISKCON, means before 1966, he developed the desire. So in 1971, when Srila Prabhupada came back to India, and he again came to Mumbai, and again saw this land, and then he planned to purchase the land. And every one of us know that it was a great fight, but Srila Prabhupada, he desired and he prayed to Krishna that if I get this land, I'll build a beautiful palace for Sri Sri Radha Rasa Bihari. And in spite of all the struggle, and this fight was, in one sense, Mr. N, he would have defeated, he already defeated devotees when Srila Prabhupada was not here. But still, by the arrangement of the Supreme Lord, Srila Prabhupada won the battle and he got the land. Even one time when Mr. N was so much aggressive, so Srila Prabhupada, he just prayed to Lord Narasimha that please do something. And after 1 week, the news came that he died in heart attack. So for fulfilling the desire of Srila Prabhupada, Lord Krishna reciprocated in the manner, and not only reciprocated to fulfill his small desire, but Lord Krishna gave it in manifold, unlimitedly, like Jagannath Puri, example of Jagannath Puri. And the Prabhupada had desired to write in English, few pages, he was trying. So he could not do at that time. But then after that, Lord Krishna arranged that in next 10 years, Srila Prabhupada wrote more than 80 books, and which are now printed in, I think, more than 80 languages. So Prabhupada desired to write in English and few pages of Back to Godhead magazine in the glorification of the Supreme Lord. But Lord Krishna, he became so merciful that he arranged to write many volumes of books printed in many languages and distributed all over the world by thousands of devotees. And this will continue for next thousands of years, next at least for 10,000 years this will continue. So this is what we find, how Lord Krishna reciprocated the affection which Srila Prabhupada had, the desire which Srila Prabhupada had, intense desire to serve Krishna and to glorify him. So now we may think that, okay, Krishna, he reciprocates with Brajvasis, Vrindavanvasis, and he reciprocated with Srila Prabhupada in unlimited way. So, but Lord Krishna is reciprocating with each and every living entity. And even though we are not desiring to have that reciprocation, even though we are not having so much desire to serve him, in Srimad Bhagavat Gita, Lord Krishna says, Mamai vamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana manasasthani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. So Lord Krishna claims openly in Bhagavad Gita that every living entity, jiva bhuta sanatana, jiva refers to conditioned souls. Those who are in a spiritual world, they are not known as jiva, they are mukta, so nitya siddha. And those who are in this material world, they are known as jiva. Similarly, in another place, Lord Krishna says, Suhridam sarva dehinam. So here he is telling sarva dehinam. Dehinam means he is referring to us, which have embodied beings. He is not saying Suhridam sarva bhaktanam or Suhridam sarva suddha bhaktanam. He is not just telling this. He is telling Suhridam sarva dehinam. Gyatavam santim richati. That I am the actual well-wisher of each and every living entity in this material world. So not only Lord Krishna is telling this, but he is executing this also, both in a spiritual manner, in a material manner also. Like whatever a living entity desires to perform, whether for the service of the Lord or independently he desires to enjoy in this material world, the Lord is there to fulfill his desire. He says, 15.15, Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. That I am situated within the heart of every living entity, and from me comes remembrance, forgetfulness and knowledge. So for non-devotees, Lord Krishna, present within their heart as Paramatma Super Soul, he is giving them remembrance that you desired to enjoy in this manner. So now here is the opportunity, utilize it. And simply by giving remembrance will not work, so he gives the knowledge also, that how you can do. He arranges for him the knowledge, that okay, you go to school, you become PhD, BTech, you do BTech. And he only creates these technological inventions, discoveries. Otherwise, all the laws of the physics and electronics and electrical, that was already created by the Supreme Lord. Like most of the thing at present in technological advancements, that is actually based on electromagnetic induction effect that was discovered by Michael Faraday. So that law of electromagnetic induction and that law that these electromagnetic waves are there, so that was actually created by the Supreme Lord Krishna. He already created and reserved it. That's after some time few living entities will come and they will desire to develop these kind of technologies, they will desire to do these kind of thing, so let they have facilities. So he gives remembrance and he keeps the knowledge also. Knowledge means these laws of science, different laws of science. And then apohanam. So apohanam means he makes them forget their relationship with the Supreme Lord. which they wanted. He makes them forget the past misdeeds and the past suffering. Otherwise, the person he cannot execute. Similarly, for devotees also, Lord Krishna, present within the heart, he is giving the remembrance, knowledge and forgetfulness. He is giving the remembrance that you desired, you wanted to surrender unto me. So here is the opportunity. This devotee is distributing book, so you take it. So then devotee comes and he gets the books. So this, everyone, whoever has become devotee, we experience this, that in our life, it was the Supreme Lord Krishna from within who gave some kind of inspiration that you get attached to the devotees, you get attached to knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, and you come to me. So this is arranged by the Supreme Lord, and then knowledge, he is directly giving knowledge from Bhagavad Gita from various acharyas, and in this way he is reciprocating with our desires. So the point is that the Supreme Lord Krishna, he reciprocates according to the desires of every living entity, whatever desire he has, whether material or spiritual. But above this, one more important point is that even though he reciprocates with each and every desires of the living entity, but he acts, he fulfills or reciprocates in such a wonderful way that ultimately he brings the living entity back to his lotus feet. It may take millions of lifetime, but this is how he does. Even the most richest person may be there in this world. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, ye yatha mam prapadyante tam satya bhajamyaham. But actually he goes beyond that also, especially Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityanand Prabhu. So according to this verse, whatever the living entity desires and in whatever manner the living entity surrenders, Lord Krishna fulfills. So that he does, but the way he does, the arrangement, how he makes is to gradually bring that living entity back to his lotus feet. So this is the greatness of the Supreme Lord. So time is already over. But I just wanted to mention one last point regarding this pastime, that Lord Brahma, as His Grace Ramrup Prabhu, he mentioned one lesson from this pastime, that this go means cows and calves, and go means senses. So our senses, when they go out, it's the duty of Lord Krishna to bring it back in his service. So this is the instruction in the Bhagavad Gita also. 10.8, 9, 10 and 11, if we read these three verses, so in these three verses we'll find most of the job, most of the work is done by Krishna. And what is instructed for us to do is to take his shelter. So many times it happens when our senses, when our mind go away, so we try to, our own self, we try to bring it back, we try to engage it, or we become tensed, or we engage the time in thinking about how to bring back the senses in the service of the Lord. But this is not the instruction of the Supreme Lord. Rather, he says that one should engage the time in taking shelter of Krishna, in serving him. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. So he says bhajante mam. In any of the verses in Bhagavad Gita, we'll find this, what Lord Krishna is saying to do, for us to do. So what we are supposed to do. So Lord Krishna says, man mana bhav mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. You offer obeisances to me, you think of me, and you engage in my service. So this is what we are supposed to do. And while doing this, the mind and senses may run away, but that is not in our hand, and neither we can do that. to bring it back. Just like if a person, he is drowning in ocean, so how long he can try to save himself? How long he can swim in the ocean? Ultimately, he has to cry. Ultimately, he has to call out for somebody who is above him in the helicopter. So then only because if he will try swimming, so the person will think that, okay, he is playing. He is not interested to come out. So the person is supposed to call out. Similarly, at such times, we are supposed to take shelter of Krishna by chanting his holy name, and by taking shelter by reading Bhagavatam, and by serving him. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. If there are any comments, you can ask. Hare Krishna. So,
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, थैंक यू फॉर गिविंग नाइस लेक्चर। तो मेरा एक प्रश्न था कि जैसे एक जगह भगवान बताते हैं कि टोर्टाइज कछुए का उदाहरण देकर कि जो है एक व्यक्ति को, बुद्धिमान व्यक्ति को अपने इंद्रिय को सिमट लेना चाहिए जब उसको सिचुएशन आती है। तो इसको कैसे समझेंगे इस श्लोक से?
तो बहुत अच्छा प्रश्न है। तो इसमें भगवान बोल रहे हैं समेट लेना चाहिए, कछुए का उदाहरण दे रहे हैं। लेकिन समेटने के बाद क्या करना चाहिए फिर? क्योंकि अगर केवल हम समेटने में लगे रहेंगे तो वो तो निकलते रहेंगे वापस। अगर हम केवल प्रयास करें कि कैसे समेटेंगे अपने सेंसेस को, तो फिर वापस निकल जाएंगे। तो मेन पॉइंट है, जैसे लॉर्ड कृष्ण सेज दैट टू एंगेज द सेंसेस इन सर्विंग हिम, to engage our mind in thinking of him by reading or by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So that means that to utilize the senses in service of Krishna. Because प्रॉब्लम क्या होता है कि अगर हमारा कॉन्शियसनेस, हमारा चेतना केवल अपने इंद्रियों को समेटने में लगा रहेगा, तो हमारा जो समय है वो उधर ही चला जाएगा, चेतना उधर ही चला जाएगा। बल्कि हमारा कॉन्शियसनेस या हमारा जो चेतना है वो हमको लगाना चाहिए कि कैसे मैं सेंसेस को भगवान की सेवा में लगा सकूं, भगवान के नाम जप में, भक्तों का संग करने में। तो फिर वो ऑटोमेटिकली समेट जाएंगे।
थैंक यू।
हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna. Translation. Hang ho gaya. So anyways, in this verse, it's mentioned that the gopis, the elderly motherly gopis, they were, having this feeling of discrimination rather, my son and Krishna. And now because everyone is Krishna, so there is no discrimination. So in this world also we see, obviously, they are Nitya Siddhas, we are Nitya Baddhas. We have this habit even after coming in bhakti, this habit of discrimination. Like Prahlad Maharaj says, his teachers were trying to teach him friends and enemies, but he said, I don't consider that. So why this distinction is there? Why that marking is there? That this is mine, this is not mine. And how can we overcome that?
So, first thing is that in this verse, elderly, that there is no distinction between sons of their own and other sons. So this is for Krishna, because although from external point of view their features were different, but every one of them were exactly Krishna only. Not but means they were Krishna only. So that is why the reciprocation between gopis and Krishna, it was same. But in ordinary day-to-day dealing, we have living entities, and every living entity is individual. So everyone is on the different level of his spiritual consciousness. While in this pastime, Lord Krishna, whether he was in the form of a small calf or a small cowherd boy, so he was having the same love and affection for the elderly gopis and mothers. So that is why the mothers reciprocated in a same manner. But in this world, every living entity has his own different spiritual position. So accordingly, we have to discriminate so that we can protect our own consciousness and uplift him.
That discrimination I'm not talking. I'm talking that is okay. We have to associate with devotees who will help us in protecting our bhakti and advancing in our Krishna consciousness. My question is that even after coming to devotional service, we have this concept of mine and yours, ours and theirs. So how can we remove that concept? That this is my group, this is their group, this is my property, this is their property.
So even after coming to devotional service, so we are in the process of purification, so still we have some this sense of false ego, and because of this sense of false ego, only we discriminate. But if we properly understand our eternal position in relationship with the Supreme Lord Krishna, and then how the other living entities also have their eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord Krishna, then we may be able to overcome this. And one thing, श्याम सुंदर गोविंद प्रभु का जो क्वेश्चन था, सो आपका ये क्वेश्चन है, तो इसमें जैसे माइंड है, तो माइंड एक छोटे बच्चे की तरह कंपेयर किया गया है माइंड को. तो अगर हम माइंड के पास जाके उसको, हमारा अगर कॉन्शियसनेस रहेगा कि हम उसको कंट्रोल करें, उसको वापस लेके आएँ, तो वो उतना रिबेलियस हो जाता है. जैसे कि मान लीजिए एक पिताजी है, अपने छोटे बच्चे को लेके जाता है, जुहू बीच में जाता है. जुहू बीच में वो लोग खेल रहे हैं, और तो पिताजी भी है और बच्चा भी खेल रहा है. बच्चा घर बनाना चालू कर देता है और खेलता रहता है. अभी पिताजी जाना चाहते हैं, ठीक है अभी बहुत हो गया, तो पिताजी बच्चे को बोलेंगे चलो, तो बच्चा मानता नहीं है. उसका घर भी तोड़ देंगे तब भी नहीं मानेगा, वो फिर से बनाना चालू कर देगा. क्यों? क्योंकि उसको पता है कि पिताजी मेरे पीछे लगे हुए हैं. लेकिन अगर उसके पिताजी उस बच्चे को तुरंत छोड़ के और वहाँ से भाग जाएं, वहाँ से चले जाएं, बस उसकी तरफ देखे भी नहीं, तो बच्चा फिर वहाँ पे नहीं टिकेगा, फिर उसके पीछे पीछे जाना ही पड़ेगा. ऐसे ही भगवान कृष्ण के पास टाइम में भगवान कृष्ण बलराम और गौल बाल खेल रहे थे, तो रोहिणी माता जी गई उनको बुलाने के लिए, तो भगवान नहीं सुने, क्योंकि रोहिणी माता प्रयास कर रही हैं, उनको बुला रही हैं. भगवान को पता है कि जब तक मैं नहीं जाऊंगा ये भी नहीं जाने वाली, तो इसलिए भगवान नहीं गए. यशोदा माता आई, उन्होंने वो आओ बिलाओ करके एक राक्षस का नाटक करके और उसको बोल के तुरंत पीछे घूम के वो भाग गई, तो भगवान भी आ गए. तो हमारा जो मन है उसी तरह से, जब तक हम ट्राई करते हैं कि हम इसके पीछे पीछे रह के इसको लाने का प्रयास करें, तो ये और ज़्यादा हमको उलझाता रहेगा, और ज़्यादा उलझाएगा. लेकिन अगर हम इसको छोड़ के जो इंस्ट्रक्शन दिया गया है टू इंगेज आवर टाइम इन द सर्विस ऑफ द सुप्रीम लॉर्ड, तो आप पाएंगे कि मन फिर अपने आप आ जाता है उधर. तो दिस इज़ हाउ दिस कैन बी डन. ओके, हरे कृष्ण.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी. प्रभु जी, यू आर मेंशनिंग द श्लोका ये अथा माम प्रपद्यन्ते श्लोका ड्यूरिंग योर लेक्चर, एंड so you were saying that Krishna follows this principle that ye athamam prapadyante tam sate bhajamyam. So, but we also say that Krishna is Swarat. He he's above all the rules, above all the principles. So if it is so, and so can he break this principle also?
Yes, whatever he wants he can do. भगवद गीता तो उन्होंने ही बोला है ना,
So
तो
then,
अगर वापस तोड़ भी सकते हैं ना,
but Bhagavad Gita
लेकिन
भी
तोड़ते
say,
हैं पॉजिटिव मैनर में ही तोड़ते हैं. Even if he breaks his principle, that he breaks for the welfare of his devotees, like he promised that I'll not lift the weapon in the battlefield. But so he lifted the weapon, he broke his own promise to protect Bhishma Pitamaha and Arjuna. So even if he breaks that will be for the welfare of the living entity.
but we say Bhagavad Gita is absolutely true. It is true under all time,
Yes.
place,
So
circumstances.
Bhagavad Gita is absolute truth, non-different from Krishna. So Bhagavad Gita is absolute truth. So but Krishna, he is also absolute truth. And Bhagavad Gita is coming from him. So whatever he is doing, so then that will become absolute truth.
Hare Krishna. My question is, Krishna says, ye athamam prapadyante. So can he break that principle also? I am just asking, ki if this is the principle that he says he is following, so my question was, if he does not break that principle, then he is under that principle, but he is supreme most. So why Krishna is bound to follow any principle? That was.
माइक दीजिए.
Doesn't break any principle. Okay. Krishna also explains that. Now, Krishna is Satya Sankalpa. Still, what you are saying, Krishna is bound by his principles? No, he is not bound. With Abhinna Swarat. It's completely independent. But still he doesn't break, to set an example. Okay. Yoga Maya potency comes into picture many times. I gave an example few weeks back. You set up alarm. You have set up alarm to wake you up. Now if you want to wake up, you wake up. Otherwise you snooze it or you close it. Still you are the controller. So Krishna still remains the controller. He never breaks any principle. Even if the weapon, yes, we say he took the weapon. He never took the weapon in battlefield. There was no weapon. He only used the wheel of a broken chariot, which is not a weapon itself. And he never used it. So we say that because that's why there is this different thing. There is tattva and there is rasa. Two different things. So when we mix these two different things, there is a confusion. So in rasa, how can Krishna steal? Krishna is Makhanchor, how can Krishna steal? So rasa is mixed with tattva, then leads to confusion. So it has to be kept separately and understood. And so Krishna never breaks any principle. Otherwise the world will, is heading to ruination. Krishna says in third chapter Bhagavad Gita. I thought you are asking about which, so have you ever heard Krishna breaking any principle? Just asking. So Krishna doesn't break and Krishna is not bounded by any principle. If he wishes, he can break. If he wishes, he follows, but he follows.
Okay. हो गया.
Hare Krishna. This question came about belongingness, that groupism in spiritual life. So we see that this belongingness, the tendency to belong to someone is there in spiritual life also. We see sampradayas, gurus, so their belongingness is there. Okay, I may respect all the Vaishnavas, but I belong to this guru. I respect all other devotees, but I belong to, this particular sampradaya. So that will be there. Belongingness is there in all circles, but it should not impede the devotional service of others. That we should be careful. And if we are having that compatibility, then we are safe. Translation: having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion. For by this knowledge, you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine. I had one curiosity, not a serious question. The logic explained in Bhagavatam is so nice that the body is dear to everyone because it belongs to the soul. So indirectly we are the soul and we love the soul. And that goes further extended that actually soul is the part and parcel of Krishna. So therefore, we actually love Krishna the most. So, just in the intermediate stage, when we extend this philosophy, this reasoning that the body belongs to the soul, and soul is part and parcel of Krishna, so therefore we actually love the soul. So, this soul, because soul is part and parcel of Krishna, we love the soul. Every living entity around is part and parcel of Krishna. Why don't we have that love towards every living entity? We love ourselves because we are part and parcel of Krishna.
I understood question.
But every other living entity is also part and parcel of Krishna. So why we are not experiencing that love?
So for that, and it happens, Lord Krishna says, Sarva Bhuta Hite Rata. Those who are realized, they consider every living entity as part and parcel. So for that, first we have to come to this realization that I am also part and parcel of Krishna, and every living entity, they are also part and parcel of Krishna. So right now, we consider our own body as self. So that is Dehatma Buddhi. That is why whatever is related with this body, so we consider love for them. And we sacrifice even ourselves, our life for them. So if this same thing becomes actual realization that I am also part and parcel of Krishna, and every living entity is part and parcel of Krishna, so we'll sacrifice our life for others. And that is why those who are pure devotees, Mahabhagavat, so they are even prepared to lay down their life for the deliverance of others. In one of the conversation, when it was asked why Srila Prabhupada is giving initiations so easily and he's getting karma, their sinful reaction, the Srila Prabhupada says, yes, I know, so easily I am initiating and getting their karma. So he says, I am prepared to go to hell for the service of Lord Chaitanya. So when one has this perfect realization that I am part and parcel of Krishna, and all these living entities are also part and parcel of Krishna, so he awakens his complete love for Krishna. So he has that affection for all the living entities. So for the sake of all other living entities who are also dear to Krishna, he is prepared to even go to hell for their service. Okay. थैंक यू.
Thank you.
वन लास्ट थिंग, श्याम सुंदर गोविंद प्रभु का जो प्रश्न था, वो जो श्लोक है कुर्म अंगानी व सर्वशा, दैट लॉर्ड कृष्णा इज स्पीकिंग, जो सेल्फ रियलाइज्ड सोल्स हैं उनके कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स बता रहे हैं. देयर लॉर्ड कृष्णा ही इज़ नॉट सेइंग दैट सेल्फ रियलाइज्ड पर्सन ही इज़ आर्टिफिशियली ट्राइंग टू bring his senses in. No, he is telling that one who is self-realized, properly fixed in his consciousness in the service lotus feet of Krishna, who is completely realized. So because of this, because he has engaged his consciousness completely, so automatically the senses come in. Senses come in means he only utilizes his senses for the service of Krishna. So there is no contradiction. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय. जगत गुरु शिल प्रभुपाद की जय. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव भक्तवृंद की जय. शिल प्रभुपाद की जय.